Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Batman the Grim Knight. Guys, this is a story. It's written by Snyder and James Tynion IV. They combine their narrative efforts to weave the tale to try to solve the mystery for us readers as to who exactly the Grim Knight is. The art in this issue is drawn by Edward Rizzo. He's a great artist. There's the cover is by Jacques, and the variant cover is by Gabriel Del Otto. And Dave Stewart does the coloring, really great stuff, and Sal Cipriano does the lettering. As this issue weaves the tale of the Grim Knight, he is from another universe, which we knew. We know from the story of the Batman Who Laughs, we know that the Grim Knight, strangely enough, kidnapped Jim Gordon, or rather he negotiated with our Batman to basically, for some reason he seemed fascinated with Jim Gordon. He didn't want Jim Gordon's son, he wanted Commissioner Gordon for some reason. And the reason is very interesting. Apparently, the Grim Knight is from a world where his arch nemesis is in fact Jim Gordon himself, Commissioner Jim Gordon. And that's very fascinating, because why is the Grim Knight so fascinated by Jim Gordon? Well, it's because in his world, the Grim Knight is a young Bruce Wayne. When his parents were murdered in front of him, he picked up the gun after Joe Chill dropped it, and he murdered the murderer of his parents. And from that day forward, he waged a one-man war on crime, and the Grim Knight was absolutely relentless. And as the story is progressing in this issue, the Grim Knight is sort of informing the reader through flashbacks as to what his origin is. And it's not really clear if he's telling Commissioner Gordon, what his origin is, but it's obvious by the end what his obsession with Jim Gordon is. And the notion that this Batman, this Grim Knight, wants to completely eradicate crime. He wants to eliminate crime in order to create a utopia for Gotham. And he did that. He wiped out all the villains in his world that would have otherwise made up Batman's rogues gallery. And he even wiped out the Joker. He remembers killing that red hooded figure at Ace Chemicals. He wiped out, he blew up Arkham Asylum. He blew up Blackgate Prison and all the prisoners inside. There's not a lot of the criminal element left on his world. The only person left to eliminate in his world is apparently his own Commissioner Jim Gordon. But for some reason he won't eliminate him. But what's interesting about this is that the Commissioner Gordon on the Grim Knight's world he's almost like that world's Batman. He's as relentless as our Batman is. He's relentless, and he never gives up. And he insists on going by the book to take the Grim Knight down. And the story that Snyder and James Tynion IV weave here is just excellent. One of the things that Snyder and James Tynion do over in Justice League is they sort of tag team that title. And then Snyder sort of builds the main narrative, and then James Tynion IV will come along and have a more exposition-filled tales to sort of fill in the blanks of what's happening with the Legion of Doom. Well, in this case, we get the best of both worlds with the Grim Knight here. There are some minor flaws in this story, but overall, this was really entertaining. This is probably one of the most enjoyable one-shots that I've read in a really long time. Highlights of this issue, aside from the obvious one, watching a young Bruce Wayne kill the murderer of his parents, involve the Grim Knight's obsession with taking down Commissioner Gordon. And it's not that he wants to kill Commissioner Gordon, it's like he wants to prove to Commissioner Gordon that his vision of Gotham is correct. He's got this utopian vision of Gotham, and he seems to think that his vision is the best way. And yet, the Grim Knight doesn't seem to appreciate that even the people he saves in his own Gotham seem to be terrified of him. There's a kind of a creepy scene where he saves a young family from getting killed. He saves a young boy and his parents from getting killed in a scene very reminiscent of his own experience with the loss of his parents. And he saves them, but yet the parents are terrified of being saved by the Grim Knight. And they tell their young son to don't forget to thank the Grim Knight. Almost like, if you're saved by the Grim Knight, you better show your appreciation. Because this Grim Knight, this Bruce Wayne in this Grim Knight world seems to be obsessed with eliminating the criminal element, obsessed with creating a utopia, but almost he needs to be so much in control that he wants to convince Commissioner Gordon that his way is the right way. And at one point he says that Gordon is in the way. He's in the way of what Gotham can be. And It's a very interesting way for him to look at it. And interestingly enough, even Alfred, even the Grim Knight's Alfred, is terrified and doesn't like the Grim Knight. And at one point, Alfred tried to leave the Grim Knight. Said, "You know what? I know that you've got an explosive in my neck and that you'll kill me if I leave, but I don't care. Go ahead and kill me. I've had enough. Your father would be disappointed in you." And Alfred leaves, but the Grim Knight doesn't kill Alfred. Just like for some reason the Grim Knight doesn't seem to kill Commissioner Gordon. He seems to be almost obsessed with trying to convince Commissioner Gordon that he's right. It's almost like he's on a quest for redemption, but he wants to redeem Commissioner Gordon by saying, "Look, I'm right. Why can't you see my vision for Gotham? That what I'm doing is right. Eliminating the criminal element is right. I'm doing this. This is for the good of Gotham. I know what I'm doing. I'm relentless. Just trust me, follow me." But Commissioner Gordon won't, because Commissioner Gordon on the Grim Knight's world is as obsessed with doing things by the book. He is as obsessed with justice and doing things by the book as the Grim Knight is as inflicting vigilante justice. And that juxtaposition of those two things really makes for kind of an interesting story. This story isn't breaking new ground by any stretch, but it's really entertaining, and for a one-shot issue, it really whets the appetite. And what's particularly fascinating here is that by the end of the comic book, at different points in the narrative, we see the Batman Who Laughs communicating with the Grim Knight, saying, basically wondering, what are you doing with Commissioner Gordon? Because it becomes apparent that the Grim Knight is essentially, as he says it at the end of the comic, that basically he's trying essentially to protect Commissioner Gordon. He's trying to protect him from what the Batman Who Laughs has planned, because as the Batman Who Laughs tells Commissioner Gordon at the end, he says, "Look, what I got, this isn't about revenge, man, because what I got planned for you is worse than death itself." And that's one of the reasons why the Grim Knight was almost going to give a mercy kill, was going to kill our Commissioner Gordon out of mercy, because he doesn't think that our Commissioner Gordon can handle what the Batman Who Laughs is going to inflict, and that our Commissioner Gordon is not as strong as his Commissioner Gordon was in terms of his relentlessness and quest for justice. But I think the Grim Knight's wrong about that. But it's very interesting to see the dynamic and the psychology, the psychological elements at play in the Grim Knight in this other world, other universe, and sort of comparing him, I guess, to the Batman of our universe, and particularly the way his relationship with respect to Alfred and Commissioner Gordon, frankly, of both universes. So it's very interesting. Overall, this is a very unique, well, I won't say necessarily super unique take, but it's a fun take, and it shows how that the Grim Knight is a little bit more of a complex character than maybe we initially thought. That there's more to him than just simply about killing people. That he does sort of have his obsession, does have some degree of logic to it, in the sense that he wants to create a utopia, but he's blind to the effect of his own vigilantism. He's blind to the effect that his own violence has on the people of his own Gotham City. And the art here by Edward Rizzo conveys the emotions at different times just brilliantly. The artistic style seems to change from when young Bruce Wayne shoots Joe Chill, the killer of his parents, to other scenes where it shows the Batman Who Laughs interacting with the Grim Knight and Commissioner Gordon, and just the history as it slowly plays out through the narrative of this Jim Gordon of the other universe, following the other Jim Gordon's obsession with taking out the Grim Knight, and the manner in which he does so, and he goes underground, and just his planning, it's meticulous, and he's a brilliant detective as well. It's kind of cool to see Commissioner Gordon in sort of like the Batman role, and in this case the Grim Knight is almost akin to the Joker category. It's very interesting, very entertaining. It put a smile on my face. In a Joker kind of way, Anyways, guys, tell me what you think of the Grim Knight. I thought this was a wonderful addition to the Batman Who Laughs sort of mythology, and this issue continues on in the Batman Who Laughs issue 4, so be sure to check that out after this one, which I'm sure is going to be coming out next week. So guys, tell me what you think of Batman the Grim Knight. Follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. Hit the subscribe button, and until next time, Comic Boom, out.